Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the most Terran player out there in the blue. It's Micro Jackson. ByuN's. Facing off against the Zerg player voted most likely to raise my blood pressure. In the red, we have SHIN. In a best of 5, Terran versus Zerg Grand Finals. To Cranky Duckling's Tenacious Turtle Tussle. And I'm gonna ask something that I know is hard for a lot of people. Every once in a while, come out of your turtle shell and smash that like button. Maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? Just, no, it's a compliment. 1,626 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than the first drones and lings as the first Reaper heads across the map to make the Zerg's day a little bit uncomfortable, have a meet and greet, and show off those dual pistols and the fact that they can heal better than really any Zerg unit, even the ones who are designed for it. But SHIN already not taking any of this SHIN. He has his third base locked down. Delayed one of his queens in order to do so, but pops into the main and takes a look around, sees no roach one, pops right back out. Now, the other queen, hey! Politely yet firmly asking the Reaper to leave. And back at home, the 111 Barracks Factory Starport Destiny Cloud Fist build for ByuN's as he heads on over to the Reactor Factory. Third command center behind because, I mean, of course. The Queen's square dancing around, looking for an opportunity to poke and prod at the Reaper, knowing they won't kill it, but trying anyways. Now, will we see the cloak banshees, or maybe something different? No, okay, don't be ridiculous. ByuN's flips it over to the tech lab. The cloak banshees just give so much utility. All right, they guarantee, even without cloak, they almost guarantee there will be no opportunity for early counterattacks. If you're going to all in, it has to be something like a Nidus, or very rarely do you see a queen walk, but maybe like a German taxi build where you ferry the queens over. There's just no anti-air options for Zerg in the early game, at least something you can send across the map. So, the Banshee, while it slows down pretty much the rest of your tech, the amount of space it opens up, it usually more than makes up for it. The Zerglings chasing down the Reaper, but understand that the Hellions are on the way either way. SHIN tries to poke in with the Overlord, and is turned away immediately by 2 Marines on the high ground. I've noticed ByuN's has been doing that lately, making sure the Overlord can't get in. That extra little question mark on the build. It slows down the rest of it by just that little bit, but now do the scan. He's not, oh wait, he can just use the Banshee. Or he can send the Banshee in all the way around the corner and wait out his moment. The Zerglings poke in. 2 more barracks, double NG bay, 2 more gases, all of it coming together. But SHIN on the other side, indicating we almost certainly have quite a macro game on our hands. As already 58 drones, 5 minutes into the game, and counting. And by counting by a large margin, I'll just let the game do it. 63 drones now. And, no, don't say it again. Banshee headed towards the main layer, halfway there. All this before evolution chambers. Several seconds before evolution chambers, but before evolution chambers nonetheless. So SHIN going with the quantity over quality style, as opposed to ByuN's, who is trying to have it all. But, you know, that's the typical Terran mindset. Barracks 4 and 5 on the way. Baneling speed in production. A macro hatch. I love it. All right. So many players will try to get by on just their main base hatcheries. Just a macro hatch or 2. They got a discount. 25 mineral. Of course, queens are more expensive, but they're a little cheaper than they were throughout the first 15 years of StarCraft history. And they make larvae all their own, so I think most players, even at the highest level, could probably use 2 or 3 more macro hatches going into the mid-game. Or once you have at least 70 drifts. It very much looks like SHIN is focused on that mass circling style. Oh no, caught on the rocks, he stims away! But the Marines are gonna get completely surrounded by the Lynx. Oh, the Overlord! Okay, calm down. Spotted for all this, and he just rips apart. Those Banshees flew all the way home, but the vestigial wings of the Zerglings allowed him to fly across even more quickly. And I call that a win. Taking out 17 Marines and a couple Hellions for 40 Zerglings? Yeah, sure, that's a lot of Zerglings in terms of cost, but what does ByuN want to do every single game? Alright? The dubstep Terran. He wants to drop the base, and he wants to have 16 Marines and 2 medevacs as soon as possible, so that way he doesn't have to mess around with any other sort of units. But in resetting the Marine count now, that makes... just guns down, that changeling. Resetting the Marine count that early allows SHIN so much space. He's at 85 drones. That's a huge win to start things off. Now he's already got baneling speed done. ByuN actually a little bit late on his armory. Means he's not going to be compounding his upgrade advantage. In fact, SHIN's going to be catching up, especially if ByuN doesn't start 2-2 immediately when that armory finishes. He does, though. Upgrades are everything. Queen's caught in front, but the army supply for SHIN should be, he's waiting out his 1-1 upgrades, but there's only a single siege tank here. And by that, I mean there are 2 siege tanks here. Pull it together, Winter. 3 more racks on the way behind. Second factory already completed. ByuN with full production. Now he's building the 4th base on location, which is a bit greedy, but that's ByuN's entire career. Siege tank trying to siege out plenty of reinforcements stimming into action. But at the same time, SHIN is clearing the army near the watchtower. Hydras, Lings, and Banes tries to pick off the medevacs, but they pick up and get out. Cloak Banshees, get off my... Brenda, technically they're flying, much like we can. Susan, how many times? How many times? We've talked about this since the war. But, Sam, we're having a conversation. Sorry. Blacked out for... More banelings on the way. SHIN has everything he could want, or reasonably ask for at this stage of the game. He's got 86 drones. He just knocked out the Banshees, which ByuN keeps checking if the Queens are there, and indeed they are. The Hydras might be able to pick off one of the medevacs. The Marines are driven away, and map control will be headed towards SHIN. ByuN, though, still has 180 supply. 51 Marines. It's just Marines. The banelings are rolling in, melting through the front line. He's stutter-stepping back, ready to pick up, and there's not enough Hydras there to chase down the medevacs for now. But a hive is already on the way, takes out the sensor tower. SHIN is consolidating his position throughout the map. He's got 5 bases. That macro hatch up and running. 2-2 upgrades not too far behind ByuN. Well, the prevailing... somehow ByuN's Reaper. Did he reap? Nope, the Reaper survived, which seems appropriate. Spore Crawlers looking to cut off those medevacs as ByuN picks up and heads towards the main. Marines, Marauders, Mines, and medevacs. The M&M here. And with 2-2 upgrades, SHIN realizes it immediately. Pick up again. ByuN has an advantage here. He can press it forward. I don't think it's enough to take a decisive fight, especially considering SHIN's finishing his 2-2 seconds later, but a single Marauder enough to poke over the top and actually force a cancel on the base. There's no way to chase down these medevacs. We got more command centers in production. Nidus network is on the way. Lurkers, adrenal glands! For SHIN, he wants to win this game. Gets it immediately. Now that's a rare Pokemon. Ghost Academy on the way for ByuN. A whole lot of Marauders out in front to tank the damage. Maybe slow things down. He does have concussive shells completed. 3 orbital commands, but I think that number is going to be increasing dramatically. Overseer conspicuously in oversight mode outside the main base. Shin expanding to the bottom right corner. ByuN's main army. Down the center. The medevac count is kind of low. Half of them are pinned in the back corner. So there's actually not that much healing here. Draws out a Widowmine hit. ByuN continuing to add to the command centers. Looking to drop out in the main. There's only a single main there. Nidus network and ByuN is maxed out, so he doesn't have a lot of reinforcements coming out of the barracks. He's suffering from success, and now he's suffering in general. A whole bunch of Lings and Banes connect with the Marines, even more in the main base. ByuN going to be losing so much supply moments before the Lurkers come in, right as he wants to rebuild. He burrows down with the Lurkers. They have range done. They're working on their speed burrow, but there's nothing else as ByuN scrambles back. The medevacs. Every single Hydra morphed into a Lurker, which is real awkward. We've arrived! The Queen's in the main! Holding it together, but the sheer DPS of the Terran army might be too much. The Lurkers are helping out, but he's just tearing them apart. Oh my. One Queen pops back into the Nidus, but at the same time, SHIN dives on top of the planetary. The Lurkers slicing through the mineral line into the planetary fortress. One of the command centers will be canceled. Another Nidus in the main base. Creep tumors in the main. ByuN dropping out, but SHIN maintaining the momentum. 3-3 upgrades now completed for ByuN. SHIN is maxed out, though. Working on +3 Carapace. Another Nidus. This is awkward. Those are changelings next to the Widowmines. He could manually target the changelings with Widowmines, but I don't think that's really worth it. We just got double kill. Nidus can maybe pop out a Lurker or two. The Queen, nope. Dodges a Widowmine hit with the Queen. Some creep tubers. Nidus creep. Oh no! Gets sniped. It goes very much on the field now, but 108 Zerglings are joining them. And the Ghosts, they certainly don't... No, they don't have Cloak. You can't use Banshee Cloak. Here come... Oh, the Widowmine from downtown. 35 kills. Oh, critical hit. Another Queen caught in the main. Oh, this is rough. The SCVs are pulled. The Queen takes the hits. For the greater good, another incredible Widowmine hit. Annihilates a few dozen Zerglings. The Lurker is popped out. Hydra's Lings and Banes are driven away, but ByuN is struggling to hold on to a 4th base, let alone take a 5th. He's got 6 orbital commands. There's a continued creep issue in the main base. SHIN all over the place right now. Fusion core on the way for ByuN. Advanced ballistic. Honestly, Caduceus react. Nope. Okay. Double tapped. The Zerglings. 129 Zerglings on the field. Many of them, well, Lings in general in the dozens. 28 more Banelings. Spire on the way. And he did get adrenal glands as well. The Banelings rolling in. Oh no, another! Oh, the Minecraft gameplay is so strong here. Widowmine's getting terrible, terrible damage done. The Ghost's able to get good snipes on the Lurkers, but enough of them moving forward. He's now in range of the mineral line. Fires off another couple shots, only lands one. 52 more Zerglings in production, knocking out yet more Lurkers. The shot's getting interrupted by the range. Another set. And just out of liberation range, the SCV is starting to pay the price. Racking up the kills. The Liberator, geometrically not in position. Building armor is done, but with Banelings here. In fact, the Banelings, does he want to use them or no? Burrow's about to complete, but... Ooh, that was pretty costly. ByuN definitely taking a better trade. But right now, SHIN doesn't have to be cost-effective. He only has to be effective. With this much money, he's got 2,700 more resources per minute. The Nidus slicing its way down. The Lurkers. Somehow the SCVs are dodging all these hits. Another Lurker trying to get in position. Nidus in the main base. But there's enough back at home to defend, and SHIN is starting to suffer from some severely diminishing returns. The Ghost just tanked the Banelings. He has to rebuild Overlords because he lost so many Overseers in this exchange. And for a moment, things will slow down. SHIN has lost nearly double the resources, 3 times the gas. 27,000 in 16 minutes. ByuN's 14,000. God, he's losing. He's building an Ultralisk Cavern and a bunch of Corruptors, looking to switch into the more brute force style. The Lurkers in Liberator range. Advanced Ballistics completed. Caduceus Reactor right behind the Liberator over the top of the entire Spinecrawler wall, invalidating most of it. Vipers finally on the way. I can't believe he's gonna go Ultras. Unfortunately, ByuN already has... Check my notes. Yep, Ghosts and Liberators, so... The Lurkers over the top. SHIN has never met a meat grinder he didn't go face first into. The Widow Mines have been getting juicy hits. Oh, splits off a couple, clears up the rest. Forces another base to lift, but ByuN has set up quite a location near the 3 o'clock. He's got 8 orbital commands. Chitinous Blade is on the way. Catches a couple very unlucky ghosts. +3 melee attack is now completed. And SHIN is starting to reevaluate as he runs under 1,000 gas. ByuN with near the opposite. He's got 2k gas in the bank, 300 minerals. Whereas SHIN has 5,000 minerals but only 1,100 gas. Zerglings trying to draw Widowmine hits. There's no Widowmines in there, but there's plenty of ghosts. A Venn diagram of freedom from the Liberators. Overseers overhead. He never got cloaked for the ghost, but continually retreating back. That will allow the rest of the Zerglings to stream through. The Corruptors wipe out the Liberators. 27 SCVs dead. But SHIN loses so much. And now he's... I was going to say remaxes, but he does not. He ran out of larva and gas. He's got a dozen Vipers, 2 Ultras, a handful of Hydralisks on the way. But has he gone too far? Has he dug too deep? And has it been too greedily? SHIN still has his entire half the map while ByuN is struggling to get any outlying bases. He's going for the 4 corners bingo strategy, and right now he's at 3 out of 4. But the liberation ring around this impending planetary fortress, ByuN fortifying this position. The Ultralisks have joined the field. Clear targets. Widowmines with insane hits yet again. The Viper, parasitic bomb at point-blank range. The Ultra's trying to chew through the planetary, helping out. But the planetary living through all this. The Corruptor is getting knocked out by the ghosts. But the planetary lives. And ByuN is turning this forward. He's finally able to go on the attack again as most of SHIN's supply is in a Congress of Corruptors here. That's where all the minerals went. And with no greater spare, an escape Nidus for the drones. That has to be what this is. Caustic spray maybe in the main. And then he remembers Liberators very technically have an anti-air attack. The Nidus screams into existence and every Corruptor dies. Oh no. The drones? I guess he can long distance mine, but ByuN has held. You can't Nidus the Corruptors out. Every single one dies, and he's supply blocked. What a disaster piece. Oh no, not again. The Widow Mine doesn't quite land. SHIN has lost 50,000 resources to just 30k in just over 20 minutes. What a bloodbath, in the literal drowning sense of the term. The only spellcaster was the one Viper, which cast a single parasitic bomb. You're certainly not a wizard, SHIN. He's built ultras again. SHIN now, though, ByuN's has climbed back into financial relevance. Mostly by SHIN falling off a cliff and hitting his head multiple times on the way down, I assume, but... The army is 9 ghosts, 6 liberators, still dozens of marine marauder. Is that ultra stuck? Yeah, on the morphing bait. Let me in! Help me, Step Zerg! Ultraslings in vain, though he stepped onto the creep and the rest of the army is sprinting backwards. The Ultras, the Banelings, the Liberators overhead, but a Widow Mine from the low ground hits the Corruptors. Ultras chewing through. ByuN's loses a huge amount of supply almost instantly. The ghost count is cut down to 2 with a quarter ghost of HP between them. The Ultra's chasing it. One Ultra, it chews them both apart. And everybody dies at the end. What a spoiler. ByuN's cleaved from the field. SHIN loses pretty much everything as well. What an excruciating fight. But SHIN is still mining from several bases. He's regained the income lead since ByuN's is almost entirely out of mineral patches. Oh my. The ghost can just fight. He finally got Ghost Cloak. Snipes out a few more Corruptors. But these battles have been fought with ghosts and ultralists. But at the end, they'll be fought with Zerglings. Well, it looks like still ghosts, but... and Marines. As we go back down the tech tree, as both these players have pummeled each other into, almost nothing. Over 100,000 resources in 24 minutes. Over 4,000 resources a minute destroyed. Most players don't even mind them. The planetary is ripped apart. The army is mostly just ghosts. And we may be seeing a headstones. Well, the ghosts, the Hydras will lunge forward. SHIN, a few more Hydras, Infestors on the way, the Ghosts on the high ground, lining up the shots, and the Ultras around the corner. They get caught up on siege tanks. Ultras taken down. The last one, though, is getting so much damage. Has he done it? It's not about who wins. It's about who's left. Oh my... 110,000 resources lost. SHIN, what did it cost? Everything! Oh my. One of the most devastating games. Brutal. SHIN, he saw that a certain type of screwdriver was required. So he brought a bigger sledgehammer. And he pounds his way through. And it appears ByuN's has something to say about it, like, are you kidding me? SHIN's just laughing about it. How many times can Zerg A-move? As many as it takes. How much money did you have left? Nothing. I may never financially recover from this. Exhausting. So many units shoved into the meat grinder until the meat grinder itself said, please, no more. Wow. I don't think either player thought SHIN would have enough to win that game. But ByuN was unable to get... He was unable to shut down the base in the top left. There was almost no counter-aggression whatsoever. It was just attack after attack, wave after wave, slowly drifting across. Almost a literal tower defense game. As ByuN... the waves of creeps and creep itself. Enough to overrun. Gotta reset after that one. Mentally, physically, ethically exhausting. As both players will mine their way through to the low ground. Looks like we're gonna have a short-range brawl instead of a full-on macro. Interesting that ByuN didn't actually end up mining through over here. He opened it up a bit, but opened the gate a little. He realizes... I've seen ByuN actually take the front of the base as well, which sometimes seems better. I mean, as Terran, you have ranged units. I know it sounds crazy, so... I'm like lightheaded after that. Usually I like to inject some flavor commentary, something like about the strategery going on, but that was just over and over and... That might not be the most units I've ever seen die, but that was the most units of consequence in the shortest amount of time. I think that may have surpassed Raynor versus Clem for the most resources lost per minute in a game of StarCraft 2 ever. So for reference, a base mines... very roughly, not including mules, around 1,500 to 2,000 minerals. We'll call it 1,500 on the conservative side, and 250 gas per minute. So that's 1,750 per mining base, full mining base. So in order to lose 4,000 per minute, that is 2.5 mining bases between them. And none of them are fresh, so... That's just the units dying. The queens? Huh. Actually using just enough space to jam a queen in there without the Reaper nearby. Reaper's in the main. It's going to be a rush to roaches. SHIN? I think that ByuN is actually going to spot this out right. Get off my... Okay. So, 4 Marines? Oh, the watchtower's opened up. What is this? He's taking down the golden minerals. Actually, probably not a good idea to mine through more than this. For similar reasons, you want to keep that choke point. Slips out here. Bit of an awkward engagement. But ByuN will now be taking the third base of his own. But the Sloaches are already here, so... SCV is on the run. 5 Sloaches. ByuN. Behind the SHIN already built way more drones, so the Stim Marines will soften these up. He's gonna get an SCV or two, but okay. Just keeps hitting the Stims. Can't help himself. That single Ravager. Overlord. That Ravager's eating good tonight. Gonna have some corrosive bile after all that power armor. This is happening. No, don't keep going. ByuN is determined to just lose all of his starting Marines in every game. He eventually kills the Ravager in a gruesome execution, but... Alright, now opening up the rocks so they don't get used against him. Bit of a bold move, putting his Evo chambers down here, but I guess if he loses this base, that's tantamount to losing the game itself, so... Roach speed on the way, but ByuN is gonna have 1-1 combat shield and double medevac. Before Roach speed, +1 attack or carapace. So this is... And the rush distance is incredibly short. They both went for the low ground bases, so... At the southern half of the map. So that certainly could backfire for SHIN if he doesn't get enough out on the field in time. He's going for the gold now. If he's able to get it up and running, that's just a ridiculous amount of roaches. But... Just target one roach at a time. As soon as the tide seems to be turning. Just picks up, drops out on the other side of things. And back and forth we go. Where do we stop? Whenever the medevac's energy runs low. Even then, more like HP. ByuN boldly building his 4th command center on location, trying to match SHIN on it. ByuN now at 74 SCVs and counting, up against 67 drones from SHIN. So, this timing, the Roach Hammer, looking to max out as quick as possible and just smash through. I'll see. The double drop headed past the waterfall. Beautiful. Queens looking to meet it. Already 2-2 on the way, though, for ByuN. If SHIN... Oh, too greedy. I'm not saying he's a gold digger. But certainly he's going to regret the decision to build his command center on location at the gold. Overseer coming in. Might be able to... He has enough for a contaminate, so... Contaminates the factory. The tactical goop to delay production for not as long as I wish it was, but... The siege tanks on the high ground, I don't know! He has the high ground! Oh, SHIN. Well... it could have been worse. Certainly could have been better. Contaminate runs out. He attacked into the concave of siege tanks, marines, and marauders, but SHIN doesn't have a lot of runway here. His army is not getting much better. He's he's pretty much maxed out at the moment. If ByuN gets 2-2 upgrades or a critical mass of siege tanks, well, there's not much else to be done for SHIN. A triple shot knocks out the siege tank, but there's still 2 more on the high ground. Trying to get some high ground vision. Fires off another wave of corrosive bile. The SCVs are pulled off the line. And ByuN will be driven back for now, and SHIN will be forced to regroup. Those upgrades are closing in. The medevacs are out of energy. He managed to boost some forward. SHIN has left enough back at home to deal with this. Coming around again. Fires off the corrosive biles at the command center. The roaches... Actually, the marines might be able to win that. ByuN not so confident. Another command center looking to land. 2-2 upgrades 12 seconds out, and that's when things are going to get much more difficult for SHIN. But he's going to fight a few moments before. There's not that much bio on the ground. Fires off behind the marines and marauders. Fires off another volley. Knocks out a siege tank. There's a third one on the high ground, trying to mitigate the damage. 14 SCVs dead. This is about as good as it's gonna get. Zergling speed finally done. Another siege tank taken down, but +1 mech weapons is completed. And the withering fire from the siege tanks obliterates the front line of roaches so quickly. SHIN maintains the supply. The constant stream of roaches across the map. It looks like the double drop came back home, and now SHIN is consolidating his forces as well. +2 Carapace is done. Only a single upgrade advantage. 3 siege tanks. 4 siege tank coming down. Another wave of Biles. Takes out one. The medevacs have plenty of energy, though. And the Terran army is tearing forward. The SCVs, a wave of corrosive Biles scattered throughout the shotgun blast. He can dodge with ease. Roaches and ravagers. Yet again, another wave. Throws it up. Planetary Fortress is on the way. SHIN still. A wave of Roach Ravager is rolling in. And will the tide be enough to drown ByuN? Coming in from another angle. The siege tanks. Another couple vials. A few clipping the medevacs. Knocks one out of the sky. SHIN coming in from another angle, but the Planetary Fortress is halfway done. It's at full HP. SHIN starting to lose the critical mass of Roach Ravager. He drove back one flank. Another one comes in, but the Ravagers are all going to be picked off, and without them, there's nothing stopping ByuN from standing his ground. And with a Planetary Fortress, the backstop of all this, ByuN holds, and he's looking to be unstoppable. SHIN making more Ravagers, but the Roaches are a pittance in comparison to the Terran army. He's stimming, and he is winning as he gets his way across the map. Half the medevacs are out of energy as they cheer on the others. The few Roaches and Ravagers will be enough to hold the line for now, but it's going to be erased by the reinforcements from ByuN. It's just too much. If he couldn't do it with 200 to 140 supply, he can't do it when he's down 20. In fact, SHIN still being in this game is just a little bit offensive, even though he's only on defense now. Another meat grinder. But this time around, ByuN is on the winning end of things. SHIN is praying for him to make a mistake, for him to lean into the corrosive bile. Those prayers are not answered. ByuN holds and drives the Zerg back, and we're all tied up 1-1. Exhausting. Oh my. These two just chewing up so much man and Zerg power. Game 3 is on ley lines. And we'll take a quick breather to like and subscribe. And thank Cranky Ducklings, by the way, if you haven't checked him out. You got the means of... just give me it. I'm not as young as I used to be. So, I used to cast a lot on stream, doing it live. Many moons ago. Decent amount now. But... what happened was I go from commentating my terrible gameplay to commentating and Korean translating live. And my voice did not like that. I still struggle with some of our more dramatic games, but I think that quality and quantity is the way to go. So, that's why you have the dedicated gameplay now. And the dedicated casting. As these two, again, discussing the drama. But ByuN, more happy with that last game. Well, what was I saying? But I hope you enjoy. Hope it makes your day a little bit better. And thank you again to Cranky Ducklings for putting on so many amazing tournaments. Not just with the top tier players, but a lot of the best of the rest, sort of amateur local tournaments from different regions as well. They do a lot for supporting grassroots SC2, which is not an easy thing to do in this day and age. So, Jimmy, please, in the description. And it'd be awesome if you could check them out. And they're almost always streaming as well, which is one way you can support, even if not monetarily. So. Overlord sponsor. What was all this started from? Oh yeah, because these games are exhausting and I'm feeling it. I'm sure, well, I was gonna say I'm sure the players are as well, but I've seen ByuN play 45 minutes and offer a draw. Unprovoked. Well, I mean, because it might be a draw scenario, but still. And then play another, like, 40-minute game. That is not unheard of. So, ByuN clearly has the experience, the stamina. Unlike this. This is a message from the Hatchery Owners Association. You're not a... You just can't do that. Brenda, are you yelling at the Reapers again? I'm not yelling. I'm chastising. I'm doing it in a calm, even tone. That felt a bit forced, Brenda. Shut up, Susan. Sorry, I blacked out for a moment, but... well... The Queen's pushing out, and ByuN? Poking and prodding. Headed for the Banshees, it looks like, yet again. We had our El Dorado get 16 Zerglings on the way. Now that's a spicy meatball. 16 Zerglings is significantly more than... Oh my god, he got the creep tumor. Was it worth it? I don't think so. Matter of principle. This is certainly an attempt to catch ByuN off guard, and he very likely will. But, will it be worth it? ByuN actually cut... Well, he has a couple Hellions waiting at home. 2 at the front, 2 sitting on top of the ramp. SHIN is sneaking all the way around. Looking for an opportunity. Oh, and the Zerglings coming in at a decent moment. Gonna get a little bit... Oh, and the Overlord spots that he just lifted the factory. Gets into the main, but SHIN is gonna kill a Marine. Make that 2. And has 54 drones behind. Citizens arrest on that Zergling. So, honestly, even though he doesn't do physical damage, he bought himself a lot of time. And the creep spread can get started. The drone count is looking pretty healthy. He delayed a little bit of the build. Not great, but not terrible. I wouldn't hate that as Zerg. I'm 1/3 Zerg myself. A masochistic side nowadays, but, you know, whatever. But, of course, the intent was to get as many SCV kills as possible. Didn't quite accomplish that. In fact, he killed exactly 0 SCVs, which is not very many. And the Hellions. Is he just... No. Okay, he's thinking about it. 4th base on the way. Cloaked Banshees, pre-cloaked. Looking for an opportunity to pick off some of the drones. Drive right on by. Zerglings. Boxing out. ByuN tested it. Of course he's going to look for the opportunity. Of course. 5 drones dead to the Banshees. And ByuN has already caught up to 60 workers. So that puts him in a pretty comfortable place economically, with mules dragging him over the top in terms of income. The armory's on the way. In fact, he might be attempting a Hellbat push. That is lined up somewhat with 1-1. Hellbats with a straight-up push. Not a Hellbat timing. Not a Hellbat all-in. I'm okay, alright? I'm not unhappy. My feelings on it, I have a pretty unfair yet well-reasoned dismay for Hellbat pushes and how mediocre they are. But just getting Hellbats as part of the main army composition kept the Hellions alive. No reason to throw them away. Hellbats aren't bad for protecting the tanks. Just waddles in with 6 Hellbats. Assassinates a queen. Arrest the queen. ByuN has not been particularly safe with his banshees throughout, but I have banshee on hold position, finding a lot of success. Hellbats coming in. Baneling speed is done. 1-1, not too far out. So SHIN does have... Oh, he's anticipating over to the right side. He had no vision of this. The map is dark and full of Terrans. Combat shield is actually quite far out, so with 1-1 done, SHIN might have a chance to crush this. Gets a wraparound on the Hellbats, forces the Marine. Oh, hello. Oh, well, I guess if you just shoot all the Banelings. Hell yeah, brother. Wait a second. With no Banelings, then, the Marines are stimming back in, gonna get even more drone kills. Zerglings getting a wraparound, but no, the double-double! 2 more queens taken down in the hatchery itself, and suddenly, where it looked like a tenuous defense, it now looks like a Terran victory. Just like that. Well, he straight up lost a hatchery. He's losing so many drones. 2-2 is on the way for both sides. That's a bit preemptive calling a win for ByuN, but there's no real saving grace here. There's no counter damage. ByuN has a beautiful factorial. Looks like SHIN agrees. He's in deep SHIN. And they've reached a understanding. Well, things are escalating. Sliding towards ByuN. As SHIN unable to really find any footing there. He tried the Zerg Rush, but slowing down a bit of the build and building up the drones doesn't matter too much if the Banshees are able to cut out that much of your economy. So, ByuN again, with the decisive timing, turns things around and now finds himself on match point. And here we are on Sandworm. I've heard people hate sand. It can be coarse. It can be irritating. Gets everywhere. But low energy references are something I also hate. Coarse and irritating and everywhere. Like the YouTube comments. Like and subscribe. SHIN tried something that didn't work. Sometimes that happens. I think it was not a bad idea if ByuN got a little greedy and he sent all the Zerglings out, but I think he's played against SHIN enough. He's playing careful. ByuN has a tendency to gamble it on the Hellions. If that was one of the not small percentage of games ByuN just decided he's going to run by and YOLO and have everything across the map, then SHIN gets in and does a ton of damage for relatively little cost. But unfortunately... Well, also... just losing all your Banelings. A couple Banelings connect and we're in that game for another 20 minutes. It's a possibility. But ByuN showing why he's the metaphorical father of Clem. ByuN ran so Clem could fly. Is how it feels when it comes to Terran. Kind of crazy to think when ByuN won his world championship, Clem was 14, 15 years old. Wait, 13? Something like that. So, very much, I think, influencing Clem's play. And from 2017, 2018, Clem had been a threat. One of those players who occasionally has this kind of bout of genius, but can't translate it into success offline or consistently against top-tier players. That is no longer the case, obviously, when it comes to top-tier SC2. ByuN has always been consistent, but it feels like he peaked and has continued to maintain that level. But being in your 30s and not having as much time or maybe motivation to commit to practicing and getting better or original and just struggling to maintain that same level as opposed to really pushing forward can be a little demoralizing. But enough about me and you, but about ByuN, who that doesn't really apply to. He went to the military, his obligatory service, and it's not like you're not allowed to play, you're just not allowed to play in tournaments. But still, almost every player suffers a drop-off. Only a few players have actually done that comeback and found success anywhere close to the level they enjoyed before. ByuN is one of those players. Hero another. But there are many other players who did not, like Tasia. Parting. There's a much longer list of players who did not. So far, SOS and Rogue are attempting to, but just kind of crazy, but still have a ways to go in the consistency department. Liberator. Overlord taken down. Roach Warren on the way. Zerglings get in? But do they? Who's trapped in here with who? Gonna take down a mule. SCV. Huh. That's something. SHIN with 50 drones. Investing in some spores. He clearly noticed the Liberator based on the spore crawler positioning. The Hellions, though, he's just gonna run it. And, oh no. Burninating across the countryside. So a lot of those Hellions are already softened up. He ends up getting 3 kills. Liberator in the main base. Oh no, oh no! Oh, liberated the queen. And 9 drones dead. The Liberator racks up 6 kills, a queen and 5 drones. And just like that, yet again, SHIN gets a bit of a drone lead, and ByuN chops it down to size, cauterizing the economy. And the Liberator just comes back home. SHIN just going for the all-out counterattack, which kind of smacks of desperation. But there's a siege tank on the high ground. Is there any high ground vision? Does he even have a lair? No. Oh, no. And that Liberator just... pay the toll. That Liberator racking up the kills. Every unit that goes by kills a half dozen Zerglings. He's slightly out of siege tank range. SHIN's still rallying through the Liberator. Will finally pick it off? No. Corrosive bows take 3 years to land when you really need them. Liberator will demonstrate how it very technically has that anti-air attack. ByuN demonstrating how he doesn't care about that Liberator at all. It's pretty hardcore, bro. Flies right into the corrosive bile. So SHIN... that was not... it did not go well. I want to put my caster hat on and say, now SHIN in a tough position, but he can turn it around. He doesn't have a lair. He doesn't have upgrades. ByuN has 1-1 with more workers, marines, and stim. SHIN is supply blocked. It's only going to get worse. He's getting caught in the sand spires with the tanks. Trying to siege forward, but SHIN didn't even take the gold. We'll see how long the death animation is here. But this is more than enough to kill SHIN, despite the relatively modest size of this army. Zergling counter. Reinforcements are in position. He stims forward with combat shield completing. Siege tank not quite taken out by the Biles. And after game 1, ByuN just tearing them apart. This has been a brutal... Wow. ByuN dismantles SHIN. 3 games in a row. After a tough, tenuous, and terrible game 1. Not in the sense of low skill, but just the sheer amount of units. Well, that was a meat grinder between 2 of the top players out there right now. Clearly having fun with it, though, chatting it up between the games. But this time around, ByuN holds and pushes back and pushes SHIN out of the series with relative ease. So hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you to Cranky Ducklings for putting on so many great tournaments. Make sure to check them out. And if you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free. At least for now. So thank you, Mule Tier patrons, Big Jig, Devin, Dor, Mario, random guy in the chat, Suit, for breaking in those extra minerals. To everyone, I'm glad you enjoy. And I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill. That was a mess.